Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you're here for this very special Run Day Monday where we're going to talk all things Run Disney, and I'm going to hopefully help you answer the question, which Run Disney weekend is right for me? And I'm so glad you're here. So at least weekly, if not daily, people ask me either on Instagram or on Twitter or on the Facebook page or as a comment to another video, how do I know which Run Disney weekend is right for me? And today my hope is that we will walk through just kind of the basics of each of the weekends, the different events that they offer, the different distances, and some things you may want to ask yourself before you decide. Now, the first thing everyone always asks is, which one is best for first timers? And to that I can answer all of them. There is not a Run Disney race in the entire Run Disney race calendar that I would say is not first timer friendly. These are large races. They are very round and approachable. There are always great resources for runners. They are always super friendly, and you will always be in great company because a whole bunch of people will run a Run Disney race as their first big event. So really any of them will meet that criteria. As you move through the calendar, the first race that we have kind of coming up in the Run Disney season, although some people consider Wine and Dine the kickoff, I consider the Run Disney France event to be the kickoff. So that will happen in September, and that is the Magic Run weekend, and they offer a 5K, a 10K, and a half marathon in Paris, France. I got to run this last year, and I had an absolute ball. It was so much fun. Then as we move along to the next race weekend, it is the Wine and Dine half marathon. I've done Wine and Dine 3 times. I have not done it, however, since it became a morning race. They used to do it at night. But Wine and Dine is, of course, in association with the Food and Wine Festival at Epcot. Wine and Dine weekend offers a 5K, a 10K, and a half marathon, and also a challenge. It's usually early November. It is an absolute blast. It is completely sold out for this year. So if you're thinking about Wine and Dine, you're going to want to be looking to 2020 for that event. And then we move on to Marathon Weekend in January. And this is kind of the granddaddy of the Run Disney calendar. You've got a 5K, you've got a 10K, half marathon, full marathon. This is the only full marathon on the Run Disney calendar. You've also got kids races, and there's a diaper dash, and this is just an extravaganza of running. It's a fabulous weekend. There are several challenges offered this weekend, including the Goofy Challenge, which is if you run the half marathon on Saturday and the full marathon on Sunday, and also the full enchilada, the Dopey, which is the 5K, the 10K, the half marathon, and the full marathon. Shout out to you if you are running Dopey or if you are training for your first Dopey. You are amazing, and I admire you, and you're a little bit crazy. You're a little bit crazy. So then we go to February, and we have the Princess Half Marathon. Yay, it's the Princess. The Princess is a women's race predominantly. Guys definitely run the Princess, but it is obviously very pink. Everything is very princess themed. You have a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon. You also have the Fairy Tale Challenge, which is the 10K and the half marathon. And then finally in April, you have the Star Wars half marathon weekend. There is a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, and a challenge, which is the 10K and the half marathon. So I've done all of them. They are all unique. They are all amazing, but you're definitely going to want to ask yourself some questions as you're trying to figure out which one is right for you. Now, the first question you need to ask yourself is, which distance do I want to run? Obviously, all of the race weekends have a 5K and a 10K, but if you want to run a full marathon, your only option is January. Also, if you really want to run a 5K and or a 10K, you're really going to want to register early. What I have really seen in the last 2 to 3 years is the 5Ks and 10Ks are selling out almost immediately. So if those are the races you want to run, you want to either sign up on registration day or work with a Disney travel agent that specializes in Run Disney. You can then book a package so that you can reserve it well before public registration becomes available and you're guaranteed a spot. That's actually what Sarah and I are doing for the Star Wars in April. The second thing you want to ask yourself, and this may seem like a silly question, but particularly if you are running the half marathon, do I want to run down Main Street, and through the castle. Now, Disney courses are always subject to change, but as it has been the last several years, the only races where you run through the Magic Kingdom are the Princess Half Marathon, the January Half Marathon, and then the Full Marathon. The other half marathons have a little bit different race course, and you actually do not run down Main Street or through the castle. Now, as a runner who is I love Star Wars Half Marathon Weekend. It always makes me a little sad that we don't run through the castle. You run through a lot of other things that I think make up for it. But there truly, especially if it's one of your first Run Disney events, there is nothing like running right down the middle of Main Street, USA. I'm running right down the middle of Main Street, USA. Sorry, little song there. When you turn the corner, when you go through those front gates, and there are people lining the streets and cast members are yelling and people are screaming, and you see that castle in front of you, buckets. I have yet to do that without crying and smiling so big that I just can't even stand it that entire way. And then as you head through Tomorrowland and then you go back through the castle, again, subject to change, this is how it has been, and you run from Fantasyland through the castle, so you get that shot again down Main Street towards the train station. I'm telling you guys, I think everybody who wants to run Disney needs to run down Main Street and through the castle at least once in their life. It just, big happy sigh. I just can't explain it. So obviously, once you've decided what distance you want to run and you look at that, and then you decide, is the castle important to me? Because that may narrow down your choices. Then of course it's a matter of time of year and what works best with your schedule. And we really could have started with that, because obviously if it doesn't work for your schedule, it's not the right Run Disney race for you. But a lot of people ask me about weather. And here's why I think that weather is just, it is a crapshoot. Sorry. There is, I have run in January when it's been boiling hot and very high humidity. I have run in January when it was freezing. I have run in November when it was pouring down rain and freezing. I have run in November when it was very hot and humid. I will tell you that you have a better chance of warm and humid running weather, statistically, if you are running Wine and Dine in November, which is always early November, or if you are running Star Wars in April. Princess, so the January races, Marathon Weekend, and then Princess Weekend tend to be cooler. However, that is absolutely not a guarantee, and anyone who has run any of those weekends will tell you sometimes you get all of those conditions in the same weekend. There have been years where dopey runners have gone anywhere from, 45 degrees and sleeting to 70 degrees and 80% humidity on marathon day the same weekend. Don't live or die by the weather. And because you have to sign up so early, there's just no way to know. So I would more go by kind of, what works with your schedule and then what distance you want to run. And then it brings you to the next question, which is, which theme do I like? Now, if you are running with a bunch of girlfriends, maybe Princess Weekend is the way to go for you, because that is definitely tailor-made for a girlfriend's weekend. Or if you're kind of new to running and you really want to hear from some experts and you intend to spend a lot of time at the expo and really kind of the technical side of running is really important to you, I would recommend Marathon Weekend. I mean, the theming is really always classic Disney characters, but it also tends to be the weekend that brings out the highest number of real professional runners. So if you're looking to go to the expo and hear great talks by a lot of the times Olympians and, sports nutritionists, and I remember in my first Marathon Weekend, I was just sucking in all of that information. I think Marathon Weekend is great for that. Maybe you're a huge Star Wars fan, and maybe you've been trying to get your husband to run Disney. Maybe he's a huge Star Wars fan, or your wife to run Disney, and she's a huge Star Wars fan. And maybe that's how you can get this on the calendar, because the Star Wars race weekends, the theming is just over the top. And this next year that I will be running it will be the first year that we will have Galaxy's Edge. And the hope is that we're actually going to be running through Galaxy's Edge. I can't imagine that we wouldn't be. So that is just going to be ridiculous. And maybe you're someone who really likes food and wine. Now, the one thing I didn't talk about with food and wine is or Wine and Dine, excuse me. Wine and Dine that happens during the Food and Wine Festival. It is the only race weekend that has a private party just for the runners. Now, it is a hard ticketed event. It is included with your race registration. You can buy tickets, I believe, for family members that have come with you. But that party is really, really fun. I've not attended it since they changed to where the race was in the morning and the party was at night. I have to be really honest. I don't think I could get up at 2:30, run a race, and then somehow go back to a party that doesn't start until I think 9 o'clock at night. That doesn't really appeal to me, but for some of you, that really fun party atmosphere at Epcot that's just for runners, that might be a huge motivation for you to go. Which Run Disney weekend is best for you? Well, they're all amazing. You really just need to think about the theming that you like and really that thing about running through the castle. Sometimes I talk to people who think that every Run Disney half marathon you run through the castle, so I always like to make sure they know that that's not the case. Go ahead and look at the course maps from previous years. Again, those are never a guarantee for whatever's coming next, but it will give you an idea of what parks you run through. The course does matter to me. I really like Star Wars because you go through Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom, whereas you don't do that with Princess and Marathon Weekend half. So there's just a lot of different variables. One thing I can guarantee, no matter which Run Disney weekend you choose, you're gonna have a fabulous time and you're gonna need to plan ahead. So go ahead and whip out those calendars and start marking down when you think you're going to be able to go. And please tell me, because I'll probably be there, and I'll see you there. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.